maybe transitioning from a corporate job to being an entrepreneur is an awesome way to do that. And again, there's lots of ways to have a more fulfilling life, but being an entrepreneur is, I think, an awesome way to do that.
Welcome to the Hire Yourself podcast. Are you stuck in the corporate rat race, worrying about layoffs, and longing to take control of your destiny? This is the place for frustrated executives like you who want to escape the grind, live life on your own terms, and build wealth. Whether you're ready to make a full transition into franchise ownership or want to start building a side business along your corporate job, Pete guides you every step of the way. He'll talk about how to create career and income security, diversify your assets and income, and live life on your own terms. Your path to controlling your own destiny starts now.
Welcome to the Hire Yourself podcast. My name is Pete Gilfillan. I am an entrepreneur, the best-selling author of the book Hire Yourself, a nationally recognized franchise consultant, and a proud corporate escapee. My mission as a franchise consultant is to help people take control of their destiny, to build wealth, and to live life on their terms. And I'm always trying to answer a question. And one of the questions I always get from people is, Pete, I'm tired of what I'm doing right now. I want a more fulfilling life. And so I thought we would talk about, there are many different ways to create a fulfilling life, but I wanted to specifically talk about this idea of you're a corporate executive and you want a more fulfilling life. One of the ways in which you can have a more fulfilling life is becoming an entrepreneur, to become a franchise owner. And I can tell you, I did this. I'm a proud corporate escapee, so I have a much more fulfilling life. So I want to share kind of why being an entrepreneur can give you more fulfillment in your life. So number one is that you can have more autonomy and control of your life. As a corporate executive, we were told where we had to work, what our next job would be, from that standpoint, geographically where we're at. As a business owner, you have this idea where you can make all the key decisions about your life, the direction of the business, your life. I want to live in Atlanta, Georgia. You can do that. You are in control, and having more control gives you greater satisfaction, or to me, at least, a more fulfilling life. Another reason why becoming an entrepreneur gives you more fulfilling life is that you can have that kind of creative freedom where you can innovate, you can implement your ideas. And one of the frustrations that I had in the corporate world is I come up with ideas and it just didn't match what the corporation or the big company wanted to do. And so as an entrepreneur, you have that ability to take your ideas and execute those. So there are lots of benefits where you can bring out your creative side being an entrepreneur. And number three, and this was probably one of the most important things for me that gave me fulfillment in life, is this idea that you can have flexibility or work-life balance. In a corporate job where I traveled all the time or long hours, I didn't have control, and I'd be rushing back, miss events, or be late for events with my kids. And that was sucky to me. And so when you have a business, you control your schedule. You have that flexibility. Now, that doesn't mean that you're working less. It just means that it's on your terms. An example might be, I want to go to my daughter's soccer game, and it's at 4:00. Well, in the corporate world, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Have my own business, being an entrepreneur, I could go to that soccer game. I just might have to get up earlier that day to get some stuff done or do some work when I got back, but I could go and do whatever I wanted. I had complete control of my schedule. One of the other things that gives you a more fulfilling life is that you can have more personal growth and learning. Being an entrepreneur, you're always learning, you're always solving problems, stuff like that. But I take a part of my revenue and I actually invest it in personal development. So I do all kinds of different things. Big proponent of Darren Hardy, Tony Robbins, and stuff like that. Done multiple programs. And so you get a chance to learn about being an entrepreneur, but you also continue to reinvest in terms of getting better or improving yourself. And so I find that to be very fulfilling. As an entrepreneur, you're never really capped financially. And so as an executive, yes, you have a salary, you might get a bonus, but the harder you work with a business, you have unlimited financial potential. So you work hard and your hard work is certainly rewarded. And so I like having that upside where I'm not capped by a company. I can decide what my financial future is. And then another thing that makes being an entrepreneur give you a more fulfilling life is it's having purpose and impact. As a corporate executive, you're part of that organization, but you don't have a lot of times immediate impact in your community. As an entrepreneur, you hire people, you allow people to create an income for their family, to support their family. You're satisfying customers. You can support activities or things that are in your community, like that little league team or that Girl Scout troop or whatever it may be. So the idea is that it's really you have purpose and you're making an impact. And being an entrepreneur, for me, I like this idea and gives me a more purpose-driven life or more satisfied or fulfilling life, is that I'm building a legacy for my family. And that could be a legacy where I could hand over my business to my kids, or if my kids don't want it, it can be a financial legacy where I carry that wealth forward to them, or maybe even that income. But the idea behind it is a business allows you to have a legacy. When you have a corporate job, you're really not creating a legacy that you can pass on to future generations. When we talk about a fulfilling life, as an entrepreneur, you have independence and you have freedom. You don't have to have a boss. As an entrepreneur, I love getting up in the morning. I don't have to jack around with the boss. And I had some great bosses, don't get me wrong. I had some incredible leaders I worked for them. But the idea behind it's my show. I get to decide what I'm going to do, where I'm going to focus my time and energy. And I don't have to deal with any kind of corporate politics, unnecessary meetings, those kind of meetings where you spend an hour and a half and it could be solved in like 10 minutes. Right? Drove me crazy. So you have that independence and freedom that gives you a more fulfilling life. And also you have the ability to create your own culture. And I find that to be very fulfilling. I create a culture when I have an organization that is mine, that I feel good about, that I know that people like being in. And, a lot of times when you're with a large corporation, you don't control that culture. Yeah, within your team, you have a little bit of flexibility. But the idea is that when you're an entrepreneur, you are in complete control of the culture of your organization. And I love that. And I find that to be very fulfilling. And another thing is that as an entrepreneur, you can tie the business to your personal values. It aligns with it. And sometimes our personal values don't align with our corporate position. We hope they do, but they don't always. And so you have direct control of aligning your personal values with the business. Again, find that very fulfilling. So there are multiple different reasons why, if we're looking for a more fulfilling life, bottom line is that maybe transitioning from a corporate job to being an entrepreneur is an awesome way to do that. And again, there's lots of ways to have a more fulfilling life, but being an entrepreneur is, I think, an awesome way to do that. I've lived it. I highly recommend it. So if you're ever thinking about, hey, I want a more fulfilling life, I'm here to help you explore the path of franchise ownership. And with that, have a great day.
Thanks for joining us on the Hire Yourself podcast. Pete's here to help you break free from the corporate rat race, take control of your destiny, and finally live life on your own terms. Whether that's jumping into franchise ownership full-time or starting it as a side hustle. If this episode resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, share it with a fellow frustrated executive, and leave a review to let us know your thoughts. Until next time, take charge, build your future, and live life on your own terms.